Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining today. We'll get started in just a few minutes. Thank you all for being here. Hi, all. Thanks again for joining. I just wanted to say that as you see, your mic and cameras are off in the webinar feature. If you would like to ask a question, please feel free to use the Q&A feature at the bottom, and then we'll have opportunities to unmute later on during designated question sections of the webinar. Thank you all for being here. Hi, Colette. We'll get started at about 12:05 just to let as many people in as possible. Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here today. We're going to get started at about 12:05. Thank you for joining. If you have any questions, feel free to use the Q&A feature at the bottom of the screen. Thank you. A few logistic questions came through already, so I'm going to just answer those. You all are automatically muted with no camera off. I'm sorry, no camera on. During the question sections of the webinar, we'll give access to unmute if you would like to do so. And then for the individual who asked if we'll receive copies of the slideshow, we will be sharing the presentation and the webinar will be recorded. Thank you. We'll get started with the webinar in about 3 minutes. Thank you. Okay, thank you all for joining. For those of you who have just joined, I just wanted to reiterate you all are going to be muted and with your cameras off today for the webinar. If you have any questions, feel free to use the Q&A feature. And then during our designated question breaks, you will have the opportunity to unmute yourselves. We'll get started in just a second. Thank you. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started, everyone. Again, thank you all so much for joining the webinar today for program areas 48, 49, and 50. Colette will be presenting today, but I just wanted to open up. We're going to get started with our land acknowledgement. So I'll pass it over to Wendy. You can go to the next slide. Thank you. Wendy, I don't think we can hear you.
How about now? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Centering community land acknowledgement. The County of Los Angeles recognizes that we occupy land originally and still inhabited and cared for by the Tongva, Kataviam, Serrano, Peak, and Chumash peoples. We honor and pay respect to their elders and descendants, past, present, and emerging, as they continue the stewardship of these lands and waters. We acknowledge that settler colonization resulted in land seizures, disease, subjugation, slavery, relocation, broken promises, genocide, and multi-generational trauma. This acknowledgement demonstrates our responsibility and commitment to truth, healing, and reconciliation, and to alleviating the stories, or elevating, the stories, cultures, community of the original inhabitants of Los Angeles County. We want to take a moment to acknowledge the community and the price paid by individuals that has resulted in responses such as the funding opportunities presented today. At Amity, we use coach to help us ground our work. History, despite its wrenching pain, cannot be unlived, but if faced with courage, need not be lived again. Maya Angelou on the pulse of the morning.
Thank you, Wendy. And then just some housekeeping items. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to be using the Q&A feature throughout this webinar today. Please use that. You can access it at the bottom of your screen by clicking the More button and then Q&A. We'll only respond to questions via the Q&A feature, and then during designated times, you can raise your hand and we'll unmute you to ask the questions aloud. If you're connected by telephone, please press *9 to raise your hand during a question checkpoint, and we'll ask you to unmute so your question may be answered. There may be some questions today that we're unable to answer in full. We'll either follow up with you directly or publish a written response on the website. Any other questions that you may have after today's webinar, please feel free to send them to tpagrants@amityfdn.org. Thank you. I'll pass it over to Colette.
All right, my keyboard gets stuck. Let's see if we can, there we go. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Colette Badmegarian, and I'm the grant administrator for the third-party administrator. The Year 4 CFCI Care Grant Instructional Webinar is broken up into 3 sections. In the first section, Introduction, we will present information on the background of the Year 4 CFCI Care Grants. In the second section, the funding opportunity information, we will present information about eligibility, application requirements, the selection process, and scoring. We will then pause for questions. The first Q&A checkpoint will last for 15 minutes. We will only answer questions that pertain to the current funding opportunities and the applications. For the third section, Application, we will review portal requirements and how to access the application. We will then take any final questions until the webinar's end time. Agenda item number 1, Introduction to CFCI and TPA. The CFCI Care Grants are a project of LA County's Justice Care and Opportunities Department. The CFCI Care Grants are based on the policies of Ballot Measure J from 2020, which can be summed up as Care First, Jail Last. Under the direct board authority, the Board of Supervisors adopted the core Measure J policies through the creation of Care First and community investment programs and budget set aside. Funding for the CFCI Care grants represents a percentage of locally generated unrestricted revenue and is intended to be invested directly into communities and alternatives to incarceration that address the impact of racial injustice. On June 24, 2025, the LA County Board of Supervisors approved Year 4 allocations to further advance Los Angeles County's Care First, Jails Last vision, using direct community investments and funding for alternatives to incarceration. The Year 4 allocations build upon the Year 1, 2, and 3 CFCI investments. Funding is distributed in two ways: county departments and a third-party administrator. In Year 4, the third-party administrator is responsible for distributing one-time funding awards to service providers. Through a competitive bid process, Amity Foundation was selected to act as the third-party administrator to manage and distribute a portion of funds including the CFCI spending plan. Included in the CFCI spending plan. Year 4 focus areas meet the goal of increasing access to funds to organizations serving youth and those impacted by injustice and inequities within the criminal justice systems. Priority will be given to organizations that have historically experienced barriers to accessing county funding. Agenda Item 2, Funding Opportunities Information. The key dates and timeline for Program Areas 48 to 50 are as follows. The funding opportunities were released on April 27th. We will only be having one webinar for period 48 to 50, which is today and now. The deadline for written questions about the application will be May 15th by 5 p.m. Pacific time. The submission deadline for the application will be on May 27th at 5 p.m. Pacific time. And the funding opportunities review and contracting period will be between May to July. So this will include the review and then the contract start date to be around July 2026 or upon approval. About the written questions deadline, any questions you have about the application can be sent to tpagrants@amityfdn.org. All questions or all answers, including answers to questions you asked during this webinar, will be posted as a Q&A document on the amityfdn.org/TPA webpage. The contract terms are as follows. Selected CFCI opportunity programs and sub-projects shall begin upon full contract execution on or around July 2026. And all funds should be spent within 12 months of contract start date, but no later than June 30 of 2027. Program Area 48 focuses on bridge funding and working capital support for organizations that are delivering services across Los Angeles City and County. The purpose of this funding is to help organizations cover upfront operating costs and begin projects while they are waiting for reimbursement payments to come through. One of the biggest barriers facing small nonprofits is the structure of cost reimbursement contracts. For organizations operating with very limited resources or very little working capital, this can create serious financial strain. For this funding opportunity, individual awards will range from a minimum of $12,500 to a maximum of $25,000 per organization. In total, approximately $850,000 in funding is available in Program Area 48. This slide outlines the eligibility requirements for organizations interested in applying for funding under this program area, which is Program Area 48. The funding opportunity is open to existing grantees from program areas 1 through 46 who provide direct services to individuals and families. Applicants must meet the following criteria: have an active grant within program area 1 through 46, have an annual operating budget under $1.5 million, not be on a performance improvement plan, not be undergoing an audit from Amity by Amity Foundation, must be in good standing with the California Secretary of State, be current on all required grant reporting with submissions completed on time, and be the primary grant recipient. Fiscally sponsored organizations are not eligible. Funds awarded through bridge funding working capital grants are intended to support existing approved program costs and may only be used for expenses already included within the organization's current grant budget. These funds may not be used to augment or increase staff salaries, wages, or benefits beyond what is currently approved. Support capital purchases. These funds may also not be used to support capital purchases, including equipment or infrastructure investments. This funding is specifically designed to cover routine operating expenses necessary to maintain program implementation while they're awaiting reimbursement, and may not be used to expand programming or introduce new costs outside of the approved budget. Program Area 49 focuses on providing targeted technical assistance to CFCI grantee organizations. The goal of this program area is to offer timely and responsive support to organizations that may need additional capacity building assistance. This can include personalized coaching, consultant services, and other specialized resources that are typically not allowable expenses under standard CFCI grant funding. CFCI CARE grants intentionally prioritize small grassroots organizations with annual budgets under $1.5 million, many of which would have little to no prior experience contracting with government agencies. Many CFCI grantees have encountered challenges related to data management, financial accounting and reporting, grant compliance, and other operational requirements. While these organizations receive technical assistance but could benefit from targeted, sustained technical assistance to support their development. Program Area 49 is intended to provide that additional layer of support through a proactive intervention. This approach identifies and addresses challenges early before they become larger barriers to performance or sustainability. By investing in targeted technical assistance, organizations can strengthen their operations, meet grant requirements, achieve service and organizational goals, and continue advancing their mission within the communities they serve. For this funding opportunity, award amounts will range from a minimum of $20,000 to a maximum of $50,000 per organization. In total, $629,000 in funding is available in Program Area 49. Program Area 50 focuses on supporting one-time organizational and infrastructure needs for CFCI grantee organization through an unrestricted funding support. Small community-based organizations are often in need of flexible funding to address operational infrastructure expenses that are not typically covered under traditional service contracts or grants. This can include items such as computers, audit support, participant supplies, materials, and other administrative or organizational needs. This support is especially important for CFCI grantees, many of which are receiving large-scale funding for the first time and are now navigating an increased administrative responsibilities and rising operational costs. Through Program Area 50, grantees will receive additional financial support along with technical assistance and guidance to help ensure the funds are deployed in ways that strengthen long-term organizational growth and support and sustainability. Common areas of need include marketing, website design, rent and lease support, administrative services such as temporary staffing, data entry, fundraising materials and events, finance and accounting assistance, transportation needs, including vehicle leasing or renting or rentals, and staff training and development. For this funding opportunity, award amounts will range from a minimum of $20,000 to a maximum of $100,000 per organization. In total, approximately $2.125 million in funding is available in Program Area 50. This slide outlines the eligibility requirements for organizations interested in applying for funding under Program Areas 49 and 50. 49 is the technical training, targeted technical assistance, and 50 is the unrestricted one-time needs. The funding opportunities are open to existing program areas 1 through 46 who provide direct services to individuals and families. Applicants must meet the following criteria: have an active grant within program areas 1 through 46, have an annual operating budget under 1.5 million, not be on a performance improvement plan, not undergoing an active audit by Amity Foundation, must be in good standing with the California Secretary of State, and be current on all grant reporting within submissions completed on time. The selection process for Program Area 48 to 50 involves the following. Organizations must apply through the online application portal. All applications must be submitted along with required documentation through the portal. The deadline for submission is May 26th at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Applications will be reviewed and scored by independent reviewers using a uniform scoring criteria. There is no process for appeal for these applications. Amity reserves the right to clarify information in the submitted application, including verification through outside sources such as website and other sources, reaching out to the organization, site visits, or other measures. If through the verification process inaccurate or false information is shown, Amity reserves the right to disqualify the application and deny funding. All proposals submitted under these program areas will be evaluated using several key review categories focused on programmatic performance, financial stewardship, compliance, and the overall justification for funding. The first category is services performance. Under this area, reviewers will assess the applicant's track record in managing prior CFCI grants and overall program performance. This includes evaluating whether required quarterly reports and data submissions were completed accurately and submitted on time, including milestone quarterly reporting requirements. The second category is financial performance. Reviewers will examine both proposed and prior CFCI expenditures to ensure funds are being appropriately spent down and clearly aligned with the goals and objectives and its intended outcomes of the grant. This review will include an assessment of the organization's responsiveness throughout the grant process, including timely communication, attendance, and participation in required quarterly CFCI budget meetings. Another important review category is compliance with insurance requirements. Applicants must demonstrate that they have maintained the required levels of insurance coverage throughout the term of any prior or existing grant requirements. Organizations are also expected to submit all required insurance documentation, including certificates of insurance, in a timely manner and remain responsive whenever updated information or documentation is requested. Finally, proposals will be evaluated based on reasonableness and justification of the funding request. Funding requests must be clearly explained, well documented, and aligned with the scope and objectives of the proposed work. Applicants will also be reviewed using a scoring rubric focused on organizational experience and capacity, with a total of 40 points possible. The first criterion is clarity and alignment of need, worth up to 10 points. This assesses whether the organization clearly explains why the funds are needed and how the request aligns with its mission and proposed work. The second criterion is appropriateness and relevance, also worth 10 points. This evaluates whether the type of support being requested is the right solution to address the identified need. The third is cost reasonableness and documentation, worth 10 points. Reviewers will look at whether the funding request is financially sound, well justified, and supported by appropriate documentation. The fourth criterion is organizational capacity to utilize funds effectively, also worth 10 points. This measures whether the organization has the ability to absorb, implement, and benefit from the requested assistance. At this point, we have our first Q&A checkpoint, which will last 15 minutes. If you have any question about the information presented so far, we ask that you put your questions in the Q&A feature now.
Thank you, Colette. And we do have some questions that have come through already, so you can get started. Okay. Just a few questions about the application itself. We'll go one question by one. Is there a designated word or character count?
We do have a character count on the questions, but it shouldn't impact your ability to submit the information. You won't hit it, is basically what I'm saying. You'll have plenty of space to be able to answer the questions.
Thank you. And then same individual regarding the budget download, which we had a few questions about this. There are instructions talking about years 2 and 3. Is this correct, since I know this is a 1-year grant?
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. That has come to our attention last week, that the instructions page refers to 3 years. That was, we mistakenly left that information in there. These are one-time, 1-year funding, and you only have to worry about 1 year. So the budget template is correct. We will be updating that instructions information to reflect a 1-year grant.
Thank you. Okay. Can we apply to more than one program area in this round of funding? So one application to program area 49 and one application to program area 50?
Yes.
Okay. This question is fairly specific, so I'm not sure if we're going to be able to answer it. What makes a strong application for PAs 49 and 50? And how important are partnerships or collaborative models? And then there's a few other parts, but we can start there.
Yeah, I would say that for 49, which would be the targeted technical assistance, where you'll be asked questions in the application that you'll have the opportunity to explain the type of support that will be most helpful for you at this time. We're looking for either operations or program implementation, financial help, human resources help, compliance, information or data systems, anything that will be able to expand your current capacity, or I would say we encourage you to apply. Look through the questions, answer them to the best of your capability, and be able to give us, we encourage you to provide as much information as you can to stay competitive.
Thank you. And then are existing programs prioritized over new pilot programs?
These funding opportunities are open to only current CFCI grantees. So I don't know what other pilot programs are, but if you were a recipient for program area 1 through 46, you are eligible to apply.
Thank you. How flexible are the budgets for staffing, technology, and capacity building?
I don't know what the flexibility in what terms flexibility, or what they're referring to flexibility, but I would encourage them to look through the budget guidelines that is provided in the RFP application. There's a good amount of examples of reasonableness of cost that are laid out there, and you'll be able to get the directive there and guidance.
And then their last question was what outcomes or impact measures are reviewers most focused on? And we covered that in the scoring slide. This question was answered prior to that. Does the under 1.5 million budget requirement refer to our current budget year or last budget year?
I think we received this last time, and I think Olga might be here, but I would assume the most recent tax return.
That's right. Most recent completed year. Did you
Thank
hear me?
both.
Yes.
Thank you, Olga.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, so this question goes back to the question about word count. Someone asked if they could get the application with the limits, but I believe that they can only see the word limits if they're in the actual application portal, correct? Those are not listed on the PDF version of the application.
No, they are not listed on the PDF.
Those can be found if you go into the
Yeah, once you get
blacklists.
into the portal, and I will double check, but I don't believe we have word limits.
Okay. This may have been covered in the spending guidelines. Can we purchase items such as vehicles, equipment, software under this proposal?
Which proposal are they talking about?
Program Area 50, I'm sorry. I said Program Area 50.
The purchase vehicles, would you say?
It
You
says
can only-
vehicles, equipment, software.
Yes, I think that those are all allowable expenses. Correct, Olga?
I'm sorry, I just want to help out purchase a vehicle. And in terms of equipment and software, it needs to remain under a $5,000 limit.
Thank you.
Great, thank you, Olga.
Okay, not sure about this question. I read that one of the grants is unrestricted, but when I read the budget template, it has restrictions listed. Can you speak on this, please? And I think we may need more information on what you're referring to here. If you want to raise your hand to be unmuted. Next question, can funding be utilized for subcontractors and consultants?
Is this for a specific program area?
No, they did not specify a program area for this question.
Yes, consultants are allowed in, I believe, in all of the program areas. Besides program area 48, which is the bridge funding, we're looking to support, provide the support of what was already previously approved, approved for their other CFCI active grant. So we will be looking at previous budgets as well for that program area.
Thank you. Someone asked what are areas 1 through 46. So that would be if you have previously been funded in year 1, 2, or 3, or cohort 1, 2, and 3 under CFCI funding that's being distributed through Amity, for clarity. One individual asked if program area 8 is eligible for this funding.
Yes, they are.
We answered if organizations can apply for one or more program area. Let's see. Lots of questions about the requirements. So just to clarify, you must have an active grant with Amity under program areas 1 through 47. I'm sorry, 1 through 46.
Yeah.
Someone asked me, organizations submit and possibly awarded all 3 grants being offered.
I suppose, I mean, yes, there's nothing restricting them receiving an award, but they won't receive the same award twice, if that makes sense.
Yes, thank you. Someone asked, is the due date May 26th or 27th?
May 27.
Let's see. Are we able to apply to all 3 program areas under one application?
No, they are all separate applications with different questions and requirements.
Thank you. Okay, this question's is a two-part. I'll start with the first part. Is it possible to buy instead of leasing a vehicle for program transportation? And I believe that question was answered earlier. All of the costs must be under $5,000. Is it preferred that funding for PA 50 be spent on one specific item or area, for example, transportation? Or would it be okay to spend it across different areas if there is a demonstrated need?
There's nothing restricting them on the we don't have any set restrictions on how that you can only ask for one category or one purchase, like one purchase. So if they can demonstrate the need and justify those costs, then I would encourage them to apply.
Thank you. And this one may require us to go back to a previous slide on question on
Sure.
criteria 3, what documentation will be required? So maybe we can go back to what criteria 3 was.
The scoring. Let's see. Is for this rubric or the previous one? Is this for cost reasonableness and documentation?
They did not clarify. Daryl, if you'd like, you might have your hand up. Oh, Daryl does have his hand up, so I'm going to go ahead and go to Daryl to unmute, and he can ask his question live.
Hello, and thank you very much. And since you're on this slide, yes, it was for number 3, cost reasonableness and documentation. I didn't know, I didn't know what type of documentation. I understand reasonable should be like the cost, but I didn't know what the documentation. I don't know what kind of documentation you were looking for.
Yeah, great question. The second segment of this webinar will walk through the application and documentations needed, but for this specific one with documentation with budget, there will be a budget that accompanies the application. So we are asking you to fill out the budget template that Amity provides, and we will be looking at that and that will be part of the review.
Okay, and that was me that asked the question about the unrestricted grant. I think it's 50. I think
Yeah.
it's okay. So when I went to the budget template, it had a few tabs there, and when I went to the tabs on the bottom, it had restrictions. Like I'm like, okay, this is unrestricted. Am I maybe not understanding what unrestricted means? But it's like it looked like you couldn't spend stuff on certain things. So I was kind of confused on that.
Yeah, so the budget, although it's an unrestricted fund, there are guidelines in how we what are allowable expenses. So those guidelines, we are looking for grantees to stay within those guidelines.
Okay, well, I'll try to figure it out. I'll look at it and try to figure that out. One last thing, because I meant to ask yesterday. Now we're here today, same thing. Now, I'm a year 3 grant person, and I'm working on my going through my 3rd year. So how does this going to work accounting wise? Because I have a year left of money that I'm going to utilize. Now we're going to have this. Do we have to spend this in a certain timeline, and how is that going to work with what I already have? How is that going to work?
Well, we're looking, or we ask that one of the requirements is that you spend all the funds by June 30 of 2027. So that is true for your active grant as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I wouldn't put down rent because I already have rent. I wouldn't put down rent because I already have rent. So I wouldn't put it on there. So, okay. Well, that's fine. I mean, I do have a lot of needs, so I will put it where it's needed. And thank you all for having this right here because it's definitely needed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Daryl. Okay, let's go back to the Q&A and then we'll come back to live questions. Someone asks, I'm a current CFCI care grantee operating as a for-profit organization. When I logged into the grant portal to apply as a continuing grantee, the drop-down menu only displayed nonprofit options. Will the portal be updated to include for-profit organizations, or are continuing grants now limited to nonprofits only? Thank you.
Oh, that's a great question. I will look into that and make sure that they are able to add their organization. Thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you. Someone asked for information on yesterday's meeting regarding program area 47. That information can be found at the Amity website. I'll drop the link in the chat, and we will be posting the recording from yesterday's webinar there as well. Okay, so in the attachment section of the grant, this is the required attachment request. Please include vendor quotes, invoices, or cost estimates for proposed services. Since this is an unrestricted one-time needs grant, what exactly would be required to upload? Most of the costs we anticipate are salaries, rent, or other admin needs. I think we might need clarity on which program area you're referring to.
I
Joel.
believe it's 50.
Oh, 50, okay.
But that's my guess, but you can confirm.
Joel, if you'd like to raise your hand and ask that question, we may be able to answer better, just to get clarity on which program area. Here we go. I'm gonna ask you to unmute, Joel. Okay, go.
Yes, it was program area 50.
So Joel, we have written down as well in the RFP application and what categories of fund spent or what categories we're looking to have organizations to send. So this is not your day-to-day expenses or your actual like operating costs. It's just it's a one-time fund that's going to help strengthen your internal capacity and long-term sustainability. So we have a list of common areas that of need that could be helpful. So it could be organizational infrastructure, be equipment, computers, supplies, website design, temporary staffing, data entry. These are one-time costs. So when we ask for invoices and estimates, we're looking for you to be able to provide those quotes in the attachment.
Got it, understood. When we received our year one application, we did not have a space. So that's why I was wondering, because rent wasn't necessarily included in our budget. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
Yeah, but I understand. Yeah,
But yeah, 110 cost. Got it. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna go to Kevin for a live question, and then we will move on and come back to questions at the end. Kevin, I'm gonna ask you to unmute. Kevin Waters, you should be able to unmute. Okay, Kevin, we'll come back to you. We can go ahead and move on and come back to questions at the end of Colette.
Okay, sure, no problem. We'll have another opportunity for questions as well. Yeah. My keyboard. Okay. Agenda item 3, applications and requirements. To access the portal, the budget template, and the PDF of the application and the RFP, please find your way to amityfdn.org/TPA. Once you're there, you'll make your way to the lower right-hand side of that page. You will then see a list of available funding. Click the down arrow next to the program area you wish to apply for. To access the portal link, click here for a link to application. Listed here as well to the portal is the PDF and then the budget template that we ask you to use to complete your budget. Once you click into the portal, it will take you to our applicant portal Blackbaud. Please use previous login credentials to access the portal. If you need to reset your password, enter your email and click sign in. You will then have the opportunity to reset your password with the forgot password button. If you need to create a new login, please click create account and follow the prompt. Once you're logged in, the application to your program area will be available for you to start. Please click the Start New Application button to access the application. Once you click into the application, you'll be asked to select your organization. You can do so in several ways. Since you're a previous applicant, the system will recognize your organization, which you will then select. If your organization is not listed by name, you may search by name, or you can also search by the official ID number. After the organization has been selected, you'll be taken to the application form. To know that you're in the correct application, please make sure that the correct program area title is listed along the header of the web page. The organization information and the username and the email address will be listed underneath, followed by the application form. The cover page of the application has helpful tips and more information that can be useful for you as you work your way through the application. To move through the application, you can toggle back and forth these tabs. And let me see. Okay, yeah, you can, you'll be able to see the attachments of some. So all of the tabs will be available for you to go back and forth to. We ask that you periodically save your information as you're working through it, so your draft is always being saved. And when you work through your application and you're ready to submit, you'll be able to click Sign and Submit on the lower right-hand side of the corner. The system will ask you to certify the application with an electronic signature as you submit. In addition to the application for Program Area 48, you'll be required to submit the following attachments. Bank statements. Please upload monthly bank statements covering the most recent 6 months through the date of this request. Statements must reflect actual cash activity. A general ledger and a detailed report. Please upload a transaction level general ledger detailed report that meets the following requirements. Filter to the applicable grant fund, covers the same 6-month period as the bank statements, includes transaction date, account number, account name, description, amount, and grant project identifier. Lastly, a completed budget form. We ask that you submit a budget form only using the budget template form that is provided by Amity. We are also only accepting Excel files for this attachment. Please name all of your attachments using the following naming convention. So the attachment number, the type of attachment, and the organization's name. For Program Area 49 and 50, you'll be required to submit the following attachments. A completed budget form provided by Amity. We ask that you submit that only in Excel format, and to use the naming convention of the attachment number, the type, and the name of the organization, and any invoice or estimates that you gather. So including vendor quotes, invoices, or cost estimates for proposed services. Final Q&A. We now have some time to answer any questions about the application, accessing the portal, and anything else that you might have about today's webinar.
Thank you, Colette. I have been trying to get through some of the Q&A as well, typing for questions we've already answered, but we do have some outstanding. So is it, someone asks, for Program Area 48, is this only to apply for Amity funding? For example, PA 47. So can that bridge funding only be used for an Amity contract?
Yes. So we are looking, yes. So we were looking for, go ahead, Olga.
Yeah, I wanted to weigh in here. So
yeah,
this is intended to be bridge funding between contracts. So what that means is if you have a contract and it has ended, and let's just say it's going there, you have additional funding that's coming, but it's several months from now. This would be bridge funding that would cover the costs of that project for you in the interim. That's what the bridge funding is about. Hopefully that clarifies. So it's not for in-between Amity grants. That's not it wouldn't align with any of the grant periods, so that wouldn't work.
Thank you. Someone asked, would a 2025 statement of activities and P&L fulfill the annual operating budget requirement?
We prefer a 990, a current 990.
Thank you. Someone asks, where are the insurance requirements listed?
We don't have any, we haven't put any insurance requirements for these RFPs because we should be able to have your updated insurance information since you are a current grantee. So that should be current, but we will be, I believe we will be verifying that before as you go into contract, if awarded.
That's right. It'll be the exact same insurance requirements you currently have.
Could the one-time needs cover renovations to a residential program?
It is not, those funds are not intended to provide capital cost renovations.
And Colette, we have a few questions about scoring and who's going to be reviewing the applications. So one of them is, will multiple people read the applications and average the scores? And then someone also asked, will the grant advocates be doing the assessment of compliance and scoring?
Multiple people will be reviewing the applications and the applications will be average and score will be average. That's absolutely true. As of now, we have not we don't have any plans to have the grant advocates review the applications.
Thank you. Let's see, for program area 49, can you share an example of what will be funded? For example, if we need HR support and training, what would that look like? Is the technical assistance provided only by Amity?
Okay, so examples of the technical support, we do have categories in the application that list out, they do provide some examples. I would say once you get into the application, you'll be able to see. Also, if you want to be able to read that beforehand and not have to access the portal, the RFP does have some examples of what some areas of common funding areas. And what was the second part?
I'm sorry. Is the technical assistance provided only by Amity?
Yeah, this part of this, yes.
I want to clarify the targeted technical assistance in program area 49.
Yes,
Is that
they're
what we're talking about?
referring to program area 49, correct?
So we have,
Yeah, so
okay, go ahead. Yeah.
yeah, so that targeted technical assistance, if you read the program area description carefully, you'll see there are some areas that can be covered, and the ways that you would receive that assistance is through some sort of a consulting agreement with an organization. Say, for example, you need some help putting together policies and procedures for your human resources. You could hire a consultant to help you do that. It's that kind of thing. It's a technical assistance. And so Amity's not being paid to provide that technical assistance for you. You would go out and find that in the community.
Okay. Can you talk, someone said, sorry, regarding program area 50, is Uber an accepted expense instead of car rentals? I think we might need a little clarification on that one.
I think I think if it's an expense that you have and you can justify and you don't have any other funding for it and it's a one-time need, then go ahead and write your justification for that and put that in. But it's hard to know what the specific scenario would be that you would need that for. But if you feel like that is something that is highly justified, I would encourage you to write your justification.
Okay, someone said, can we talk more about the grading rubric, in particular about the spending grade? If we had some money roll over from year 1 of our 3-year grant, but in year 2 we don't have any money rolling over, does that count as not fully spending down our budget?
Are
I
they,
think we would need to check with
Yeah.
the finance team, but I think if you've spent, they're looking at appropriate spending across the whole life cycle of the grant. So we could check with the finance team to see how that impacts that scoring, but we would post an answer to this, and any answers here that are asked today or questions that are asked today that we don't answer today will be posted in a Q&A on our website next week.
Thank you. Will the application fill in standard info on an organization from previous applications?
No, you will need to complete the whole application. It'll be entirely different application from the previous ones.
Thank you. Someone said, how specific do we need to be on the budget when it comes to hiring a consultant? Do we need to say we'll work with consultant X and price Y, or can we just say we'll hire a consultant with pricing estimated as X and provide more specifics when reporting on the grant?
I believe the more information you can provide would strengthen your justification. Also, we ask that you submit like any invoices or estimates that you receive from consultants would also be, will give us a stronger application. So if you can receive those quotes prior to submitting your application, that would be great.
Thank you. Someone asks, I saw that this could cover rent. Could the one-time need cover mortgage costs?
I believe we answered this, and that is not part of the, and I don't believe that would be an allowable expense.
Thank you. How long should we have been operating to qualify?
So the same requirements apply as they did for the program area 41, program area 1 through 46. So it would be 2 years.
Thank you. For the unrestricted funding, could we use the money to hire someone for marketing?
Yes.
How competitive are these funding opportunities? How many applicants are expected?
It's hard to say. The applicant pool, the applications are open now, and it's a very difficult answer to give you right now.
And then a similar question, how many awards are planned to be given in each program area?
Again, we don't know. We won't know the applicant pool until all the applications have been submitted.
Okay, let's see here. Let's go to some live questions. Mary, I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Yeah, hi. I was just wondering about the PA 48. Can we look at that funding as a reserve fund, the way you're explaining it? And will there be, I mean, is that correct? And if so, will there be some training on how to put that into accounting for a reserve fund?
The intent of program area 48 is not to create a reserve. It's to provide a bridge between projects.
Okay, so it will be spent on the same things as in your budget already.
Yes, in between
Just
projects,
waiting,
correct.
while you're waiting for the next money to come, but it does increase the budget then. Okay.
Yeah, however you need to justify that. I mean, I don't know what your specific situation is, but that would be, you should be able to demonstrate that you have a gap, and this would fill that gap.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you both. Suzanne Phillips, I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for taking my question. Just to understand the spirit of the grant for the Area 50, as I understand it, we can apply for supplies. Could this be? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we're following.
Oh, okay. So just to understand the spirit of the grant for Area 50, there is a list of allowable expenses would be supplies. Could that be office supplies like printer ink, paper, that kind of thing? Or is that because it's not a one-time thing? Would we be allowed to put in for that?
I think if you do not have any other funding to cover those expenses, and those
Yeah, we
are
don't.
expenses, then you have those expenses and you provide that justification. Provide the justification, show how you don't have funding for that, and this is a need.
Okay, great. And then are we, so I heard somebody, you answered the question that we can hire, we're looking to hire a part-time person, so for 1 year to help us with areas that we need obviously help with. We're really small and we have a limited staff. So we're gonna hire somebody, we'd like to hire somebody to do marketing, which would be social media. And that would be a consultant. Could that be hired through an agency, an ad agency?
I think there are a lot of different scenarios for how this could work. So you would just put together what works best for your organization, what's a reasonable price for that, and why it's important for your organization to have it. So that's, you just put your justification together for that in however way. I don't know all the different ways that the marketing could be attained, but just put it
Okay.
together.
Okay, great. And then my last question, and then I'll let somebody else talk. Sorry, I have a lot of questions. So my last question is, if, let's say we have 10 items on our budget, would it be possible that that Amity would approve maybe 8 of the 10, or would they just not approve the entire application?
I believe
I think
depending. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Olga. Go ahead.
so. No, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Colette.
No, no.
I think it depends. Again, we can't predict what that might look like, what those 8 to 10 things might be. It's possible that you get an award that would be smaller than what you applied for, just
Yeah.
for a variety of different reasons. So hard to answer that question without really having a list of 8 to 10 and like going through
Well,
it one by one.
yeah, so the reason I'm asking is because I'm trying to make sure that I understand what the allowable expenses are. And I don't, if it's risky, like if it's something that may not be allowable, I'm just not sure, then if I thought I would jeopardize my entire grant, I just wouldn't put it in the budget. You know what I mean?
That's a wise strategy.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for answering my questions.
Thank you. I'm going to ask, Kevin, we'll come back to you. You should be able to unmute Kevin. Okay, maybe you stepped away or the hand raise was an accident. Tracy, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, my question. I'm one of the for-profits. So I would like to know, because we really want to get started on the application, when to check back, if this will be updated in that portal for the for-profits.
Yeah, I will be looking into that right after this meeting. So very soon, if not early next week.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. Beverly? Beverly, you should be able to unmute. Okay, we'll come back. Regina Hooks, I'm gonna give you.
Yes, we're a new nonprofit, and I wanted to know how can we check whether or not we're eligible for this grant?
So one of the things I would say is that are you a current or were if you're PA8 a current CFCI grantee of ours?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Were you a CFCI grantee of ours from PA 1 through 46?
No, I was wondering about that to be a Amity recipient. Do you have to be an Amity recipient in order to even apply for this?
Yes, for these three, 48, 49, and 50, these are only open to CFCI grantees.
Okay, thank you.
Hello. Let's see. Daryl, I still see your hand raised. Maybe you have another question. Go ahead, Daryl. You're muted currently.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you again. My question with I think it's PA, it might be 47 that with the families. Oh, no, I'm sorry, I want to stick to this one. The one we on now, PA 50 and 49, is there a cap? Like if we want to provide tools, equipment, and stipends and stuff to help my clients, is there a cap on that amount? Because I know to get like tools and equipment, it's like you can't spend more than 4 or 5,000. So is it a cap amount that I can spend per person?
You want me to take this one?
Yeah, I was gonna say, are you unmute if you want to take it?
Okay.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Sure. So there's not a cap per participant cost. The up to 5,000 is really about equipment. Once you go over $5,000, the equipment gets into a different category. So that's like a one purchase of one item. If you're purchasing tools like, say, I don't know, work boots or hammers or work belts or something like that for participants, you're not limited on how much you spend per participant. I think you should just make sure that you make a justification for how reasonable it is, what expenses you may have in that area for them. And then, of course, you're capped by the maximum award amount in general.
Okay, thank you. And one last thing, I may be skating on thin ice with this, but I read where we could do fundraisers and stuff like that. Now I saw on there you can do fundraisers. It said events, flyers, and stuff like that. But let's say you want to do a raffle at the fundraiser. Now it says you can buy a car for you can release and rent a car, but let's say you want to give away a car at a fundraiser. Can you buy a car to give away at a fundraiser, or anything like that?
No,
I didn't think so. Like I
but
felt I,
I,
was, I felt I was
but I
skating on
would.
thin ice.
But I think you could hold a fundraising event, and if you do any sort of raffle, just make sure you check the California regulations on raffles.
Oh yes, I have my permit and everything.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I made sure I did that first before I even thought about even attempting. Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay. hmm
Okay. And we do have quite a few questions in the Q&A about purchasing vehicles, leasing vehicles. Olga and Colette, maybe you could just speak to what the allowability on those items are. Purchasing a vehicle under these grants.
Yeah, under the county regulations, and there are, I mean, we can point you to some fiscal guides on this, but we don't allow the purchase of vehicles. You can lease a vehicle, you can rent a vehicle, you just cannot purchase a vehicle. I saw multiple questions on that. Hopefully that clears it up for everyone.
Thank you. Yeah, there were quite a few questions on that. Okay, we'll go to Shama Davis. Shama, you should be able to unmute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Great. It's Shema. If we received additional funds this year, are we eligible to apply for program area 50?
Received additional funds through program area 1 through 46?
Yes.
Yeah, you are eligible. Yeah, you can apply.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's go to the Q&A and then we'll come back to live questions. Can you give us specific examples of current budget areas that qualify under area 49 and 50, not just those areas that are on the budget, but specific options and examples?
I don't think I can list out all specific examples. There's a huge wideness of what you can apply for. We do have common areas of need. I would say refer back to the application, look at those categories, look at the budget and read the budget guidelines and see what the allowable expenses are, stay within those guidelines and look at the common areas of needs and provide your justification. And I think that would position, it would put you in a good position for a complete application.
Thank you. Okay, can you please clarify how the organization's annual budget will be determined for eligibility purposes? Will it be based on the most recent IRS Form 990, or can current fiscal reports and updated financial statements also be considered?
Yeah, we're looking at the most recent tax return, or the most recent year.
Thank you. Will Amity provide a list or roster of consultants who can support organizations with capacity building and technical assistance, since the funding can be allocated for consultants?
As of right now, we do not have a list of pre-vetted consultants.
Is the current budget template on your website for Area 50 accurate?
Yes, the only thing that is inaccurate as of now for all the budget templates is just the instructions tab. You can complete the budget form, and you can disregard those instructions, and submit.
Thank you. A few questions about providing specific examples, which I believe you already spoke to. We cannot provide specific examples on what is allowed, what the funds could cover. Let's see. Okay, for Program Area 48, if we receive bridge funding that is for our CFCI funded program costs, for example, Program Area 30, and then that Program Area 30 eventually comes through, how do we then apply that funding? Does it mean we can extend our program timeline? How does that work? Because in essence, it is double funding for the same costs.
Yeah, that is right. Yeah, go ahead.
I believe this is what Olga referred to earlier as this funding cannot be used for the your Amity contracts because the timeline would not line up. Olga, maybe you can confirm that.
Right. This contract will end at the same time as your existing contract. So there's not going to be a gap in Amity funding.
For subcontractors and consultants under Program Area 49, do we have to already have a specific consultant selected with pricing bids, or can we estimate the costs at this point?
You don't have to have anybody confirmed yet, but I would say if you can reach out and try to get estimates. You don't need to have final numbers in place, but a general estimate or a quote would strengthen your application.
I would add that having a quote and having very concrete expenses and selection of a consultant already in place is going to be a strong ask.
Thank you. Someone asked, the bridge funding, it can be funding we do not spend and keep as an equity line of some, if that makes sense, or is it to be spent down?
Yeah, you cannot hold it as a reserve. You need to spend it down. That is there to act as a bridge to fund of funding until your reimbursement comes in. So you are expected and required to spend it down.
Okay, since starting the 3-year funding in 2023, we opened a new site. Can we receive funding for rent for the new site, even if it was not part of the previous funding budget?
And what program area are they talking about?
Or they did not specify. Stephen, if you'd like to raise your hand and ask that question. You should be able to unmute, Stephen. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't remember what the area was, but I could look it up and you can come back to me.
Okay.
But we have the 3-year funding that expires this year, and since we started this 3-year funding, we started a new site. We have one in Pomona now, one in Torrance, and so it would be for rent in our Torrance site.
If this is for unrestricted, it's not to be covered for rent. It's a one-time, like, one-time, one-time expense. So rent would not be inappropriate.
Okay.
Well, I want to clarify a little bit. If it's to cover like the rising costs of rent, like let's say your rent has gone up since and you didn't have that included in your grant.
Okay. I did have a couple of
There
other
are a lot of
questions
other
on here. Can I ask real quick, or you want to send me back?
No, go ahead
Um,
and ask them now.
so after the 3 year funding that we're currently in, will there be additional funding for, will there be another 3 years of funding after this one, or was that was just to get us started and we have to be stable by the end of year 3?
We don't know at this time what's going to happen after 2027. So we can't answer that, but hopefully that'll come clear over the next few months.
Last question, can you hire a consultant to do grant writing?
Depends on the program area, but yes, generally, I think under technical assistance, I think you could under both 48, 9, and 50.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Katrina, you should be able to unmute.
Good afternoon, everyone. On the question about the invoices and the proposals, I was a little bit confused. We was going over that question. Did you want us to upload invoices or estimates? Because we did a like proposal of the cost.
I think either are, depending on what your specific situation looks like. Those are both acceptable documents. So we are asking for either vendor quotes, invoices, cost estimates. All of those are acceptable attachments.
Are you asking, or is it invoices that we have already used for different programs that we have expanded in? Are those okay to upload, or just estimates?
Are these costs that are going to be you intend to use for these program areas for this specific project, or
Yes,
are those invoices current? You would say the cost hasn't risen, or I mean, this is specific to your
to our new program that
yeah.
we just implemented. Yes.
I mean, without knowing all the details, I would say you can upload the invoice, but it would have to speak to your budget, and those things would need to be aligned.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you, Katrina. Okay, let's go back to, still have a few questions. And Olga, maybe you spoke to this. This question came through a little earlier. Is it 5,000 for equipment and then 5,000 for software?
I think it's 5,000 for equipment. I'm not sure how we categorize software, so we'll have to answer that in the FAQs next week.
Okay. Can we include classroom improvements like painting, flooring, change?
Is this for 50?
They did not specify. Simone, if you'd like to provide more.
I think, yeah.
Renovation.
Well, in general, those sound like capital improvements, which are not allowed.
Thank you. Someone asks, well, do you have any other opportunities for organizations with budgets over the $1.5 million threshold across all program areas?
Right now, the only opportunities are the ones that are available now. So these are the 4 program areas that are open for funding. Applications for under 1.5 million is the ones that we're prioritizing and looking at.
Thank you. Someone asked, can you repeat how to title the forms for attachments?
Oh, okay. So it's your attachment number. So whether it be 1, 2, or 3, depending on the list, the type of attachment, if it be your budget or your invoice, and then the organization's name. I can enter it into the chat too, so.
Thank you, Colette. Okay, someone asked, are we able to apply for transition budget expenses, transition consultant, exit compensation, staff, or board retreats? And they did not clarify which program area.
Can you repeat? Oh, go ahead. Olga, I see you unmuting.
I was just gonna say, I'm not sure I totally understand the request, but I think if it's a kind of a gray area, if you feel like it aligns with this program area and you can justify it, I would suggest you put your application in and provide as much information as you can about what your request is and justification for your need.
Thank you. Is a 990 from 2024 acceptable?
We are actually not requiring for those attachments. So your most recent tax return, I think we have something, have those documents on file. But those documents are not part of the required attachments.
Thank you. Will the awarded funding be dispersed quarterly, or will it be a full award disbursement?
Olga,
I believe it will, be quarterly, but I'm not sure with 100% certainty how that's going to go. So, we'll have to answer that next week.
Thank you. Someone asked, and we may need more information on this, do you have a preference for a specific target population?
No.
Yeah, no, we don't have any set restrictions on the target population for either 48, 49, or 50.
Thank you.
I think it's important to recognize if you want to make sure that your project is the same project. Like this isn't for something brand new.
Mm-hmm.
So your target population, whatever that may be, is eligible on your current grant project.
Thank you. Can the bridge funding be used for covering delays in reimbursement from contract funders? We have to have cash on hand to cover expenses while we wait for reimbursement on invoices. That is what we understood as an appropriate use of the bridge funding.
Yes, yeah, that is the intent of the program.
If we are a for-profit, which tax forms are required, as we do not have a 990?
We are not requiring for any tax forms for any of the RFPs of 48 to 50.
Would a chairlift for accessibility be considered?
Question.
I'm sorry, go ahead,
I'm
Olga.
sorry. I want to go
No
back
worries.
to that prior question on bridge funding. The way it's defined we are allowing it to be a gap. So it's not like you're going to get the funding and then being reimbursed by another funder for that funding, because then what do you do with that funding? So it's not like you're going to get double for expenses that are going to be paid for by another grant. It just makes it very difficult to manage the accounting if we do that. So
Thank you, Olga. Would a chairlift for accessibility be considered a capital cost?
I think it would have to depend on the cost of the chairlift, and it'd be specific. So I would say you can go ahead and input it and justify the cost. But it would, to stay within those budget guidelines provided on the form.
Thank you, Colette. Will bridge funding cover pledges from other foundations, or is it only intended to cover firm contracts?
The way it's written, it is intended to bridge the fund. These funds are intended to bridge the gap between contracts.
Which in theory could include a foundation.
Yeah,
I mean, I think that would be
correct.
possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can PA 48 be used to pay off the debt for the advance funds received at the beginning of year one?
I don't know if I understand the question.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I understand either, Deborah. If you'd like to unmute or reach out directly to tpagrants@amityfdn.org. Okay, if the current Amity grant we have in cohorts 1 through 46 put us over the 1.5 million threshold, are we disqualified from this opportunity?
Prioritization is intended to benefit organizations that have under 1.5 million. It doesn't mean that you're disqualified. It just means that you're not going to be in the priority category. That's all.
Thank you, Olga. Okay. A few questions that I think are repeating on program area 48 and the intended use. For program area 50, we are interested in purchasing 2 trailers that house our programming that we currently lease. Are we able to apply for the funds to purchase them?
That's a capital cost. We can't cover capital costs.
Thank you. Is submitting an application earlier than it's due, does submitting an application earlier than it's due get preference?
No. They're all going to be reviewed at the same time, at the end of by the deadline. So
Thank you. I'm trying to see if there's any that I think a few of these were submitted twice. For PA 48, does it have to cover something the previous CFCI grant covered, or can it cover a different program we have while waiting for more funding?
I believe we answered this in several other different ways. It's not meant to bridge the funding of your other CFCI grant because they will be running at the same time. So that should answer that.
Thank you. Some of these questions are repeats. I'm trying. Is the 1.5 million threshold in reference to our CFCI grant only or the organization as a whole?
The organization.
For the technical assistance costs, can we include workshops or webinars, for example, to strengthen HR compliance, the staff attend trainings instead of hiring a consultant?
Yeah, I believe if you could provide justification and explain submit the more information you give us and the more you can justify those costs, I believe that you would have a complete and strong application.
Okay, under program area 50, can we use funding to move a manager to full-time from part-time to reflect the actual need of the organization for this full-time role? So the funding will cover the remaining hours for a year.
So moving already are like current employees.
Yeah, part-time to full-time.
I mean, Olga, maybe you can chime in, but I think for staffing, it's like temporary staffing, correct? For that one time or that 1 year.
Yeah,
Steve?
sounds like a gray area. I mean, the
Yeah.
intent of that fund is not to fund your operating, your general operating of the organization. It's intended to have a one-time need. So, if that's what your need is, you can put it in, but the alignment with the program area is not very strong.
Thank you. Daryl, I see your hand raised. I'm gonna ask you to unmute.
Okay, thank you. What was just said threw me off as far as the same program area which you're dealing with already. My question is because my grant in PA 23 says I can utilize provide services to youth and young adults ages 12 to 26. Can I use this funding to, go over that? Because I want to help the families and other clients I run into a lot of people that's older and I can't help them because they're 26. So can I go over this age now with this? Or because I heard her say that, it kind of threw me off with that. Or do I keep on just serving people 12 to 26?
So this funding is intended to provide you with like a one-time cost to strengthen your organization, not to expand services
Okay.
necessarily. So that sounds like a program expansion versus, putting together a fundraising event like you were mentioning earlier. So I think you just need to read the program area pretty closely, and programmatic costs are not really part of that.
Oh, okay. Because it was like, and I'm sorry for mixing it, it was like program PA 47, which you went over yesterday. So I'm sorry for mixing that.
Oh, yeah, that's different. That's a different one.
Sorry for mixing that. But yeah, well, thank you very much. I'll just read through it, have a cup of coffee, and see what happens.
Okay.
Thank you, Daryl. There's still a few questions that remain about clarity on program area 48. I think there's some confusion on the bridge funding. One question says, is program area 48 only to help bridge grantees from one contract to the next? So if we only have one contract and we're currently in it, then we cannot apply for PA 48. Is that correct? And then someone also asked, most of us have funding extended. So would that create duplicate funding by using PA 48? Maybe we can go over what the intent of PA 48 is.
PA 48, if you have an existing grant and you've been extended to June 30th of 2027, then you don't have a gap in funding, and it would be a duplicate. I don't know, I couldn't hear the first question.
I apologize. The first one was, is it only to help grantees from one contract to the next? So if we only have one contract and we're currently in it, then we can't apply for PA 48.
It doesn't seem like it's appropriate for that kind of an expense.
Thank you. Okay, a few more questions here. What do you mean by the term strong ask in terms of consulting?
I think when you come to the strong asks would be to be able to, there are several questions specific to the program area. So when you go into the application, depending on what program area you're applying for, we will be asking specific questions. The strong ask would be to provide as much information as you can, justify the request, be able to have the budget speak to the narrative that which you're providing. We would recommend that you going through the scoring rubric and see where your ask or the need that you are identifying closely aligns or can be supported by that scoring rubric. So read the descriptions and see how where you can answer those questions and where you can provide support. So when the reviewers go to review your application, they can align those areas to the information that you've provided. So that would be a strong ask.
Thank you, Colette. We did have another question about the payment structure, and as Colette and Olga mentioned previously, we don't know what that'll look like yet. We can get more information, and Olga said I believe we would post that on our Q&A. We don't have that information currently. Can funding awards for PA 49 or 50 be used to purchase external audit services?
Sorry, I'm shaking my head. Yes, anything, if it's like financial, accounting, bookkeeping, financial systems, audit support, PA 50 would be something that would be applicable to you.
Thank you. This is our last question in the Q&A. Under PA 50, can funds be used to cover non-capital costs for a new program site for the same program already funded by CFCI PAs 1 through 46?
I believe, Olga, we answered this. It's not meant to augment your services.
That's right. I'm not sure exactly what they mean by the example, but yeah, if it's an augmentation of services, that's not the intent of the funds. But that may not be what they're saying, so I'm not sure.
Okay. Those were all the questions. There's no other hands raised. Thank you, Olga and Colette, for answering those questions. If you did not submit your question today, written questions will be accepted until May 15th at the email shown on the screen here. And then we did put in the chat the link to the website where you can find the application, because there were a few questions regarding that. Oh, we have one more hand raised. Krista? Krista, go ahead. You should be able to unmute.
Yes, I'm sorry. I did have a Q&A question, but I believe it might have been overlooked. My question is, if you're not an Amity recipient, would that mean that this particular application is not for your organization?
Yes, that's correct. Just these three that have been released are looking for current CFCI grantees.
Okay, and I don't know if this is a question that I could ask right now is, would there be any other opportunities that you might know of now for the organization to look into?
As of now, we don't know anything beyond what has already been published or live. But Olga, if you have anything you want to add.
Yes.
Yeah,
All right, go ahead.
currently program area 47 is open to outside of anyone who's, can be a grantee or non-grantee. And then, yeah, there is probably going to be additional funding opportunities coming out over the next year. And I would just encourage you to stay on our mailing list as to be alerted of those opportunities.
Okay, I signed up for yesterday's meeting, today's meeting, because at the time I didn't know. And then you have some other meetings going on in I believe next week, the 12th, 14th, for like 3 weeks ongoing. Would that be for just the recipients as well, or is that something else?
For yesterday's was program area 47. That webinar was the one that Olga is referring to, that we're receiving, like we are accepting any and all applications. Obviously, given that you are aligned with the program area. That one, if you happen to miss that webinar, we are going to be posting the recording very soon. You can watch the recording so you won't miss out on any of that information that was given. And then questions and answers will also be posted for that meeting soon as well. And then today is the only other webinar we have for 48 and 50. So all the other webinars that you may have seen, that they're not referring to any of the released RFPs.
Okay, I was looking for one particular. I received an email. I'm trying to find it as we speak. It had some up and coming meetings. I didn't know if that was connected to this, yesterday and today's meeting. I was, let's see, I was trying to find it on my website. It's from a guy, Chris Kim or something. I don't know if that's the same.
We don't, might be different. I don't think we have any other webinars.
Okay.
Not on the RFPs. Krista, I am not sure which meetings you're referring to, but I'll put my email in the chat if you'd like to connect and I can help provide some clarity.
Oh, sure. That'd be fun. That'd be great. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I just sent it in the chat, Krista. Thank you.
Thank you.
There are no other questions in the Q&A, no other hand raised, so we can go ahead and wrap up. Thank you all, everyone, for joining today. Thank you, Colette and Olga.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.